what did the ancient Andhra Pradesh eat before colonialism? So we're trying to understand what each region of India ate and what the traditional day looked like. First state that we're talking about today is Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh had a lot of indigenous produce which is very specific to the region. For starters, you have tamarind. A typical day would start with something called as Kanji, which is something on the lines of a porridge made of different kinds of millet, or Ragi, or bajra, Jowar, which is different kinds of millet. And this was fermented, soaked overnight, and it released a lot of probiotics, which is good for your health. Now, when you speak about vegetables, you had a lot of beans, you had a lot of gourds, you had ridge gourd, you had ridge gourd, you had bottle gourd, you had bitter gourd, you had like a lot of local tubers which are very indigenous to the region. You had a lot of beans, cluster beans, broad beans. You had eggplant, you had okra, which was very specific to the region. There are specific leafy vegetables which are very particular to Andhra Pradesh. You have things like sorrel leaves, which is something that you don't find very often in other regions. Of pickles made of mangoes, lime, vegetables, and other things like amla, fruits like wild fruits like bear. A lot of herbs were used. Jaggery was a big thing that was very widely used in sweets. And buttermilk, which was at the center of the household. Here comes the colonial rulers, and what they bring in is they bring potatoes, chilies, tomatoes. But what went wrong was the British, in the greed for exports, wiped away all the millet production to almost nothing, replaced it with rice. And here is a fun fact. Eating rice was reserved for special occasions, and it showed a symbol, and it was used to showcase a symbol of prosperity. Otherwise, everybody ate millets, any form of millet for that matter. Now, the colonial rulers came with an agenda of their own. They started taking away lands, imposing high taxes to produce cash crops like cotton, indigo. You had corn, and then sunflower and groundnut were widely produced for making oils out of them. Now, this left little land and little time for the local farmers to go ahead and stick to their typical produce. I had vegetables like pumpkin mixed with other pulses. Now it was sun dried for a few days, and then you fry it before you eating, and then you store it for a long time, and you keep using it occasionally for your regular meals. Now, when you speak about pulses, urad dal was a big thing. Green gram, red gram, horse gram, different kinds of pulses like chickpeas was a big thing. Groundnut was a big thing. These were the things that were consumed by typical households before the East India Company came, or before the colonial rulers came and introduced their chilies, potatoes, carrots, etc. See you in the next video with another state. Stay tuned.